It's always good when I don't prepare for this and we just like let it fly.
That's the best way to go.
I literally what time I messaged you guys at what 2 p.m. yesterday. I was like,
Right,
hey, yeah.
Let's do it.
Anyway, we are back on the mic. I have Scott and Lauren here, two of our huge top earners out of the St. Augustine office.
Thank you, Todd.
It's interesting that you guys are now a team because you guys were great single agents and then you're just like, nah, it's not going to happen. Like, we need to team up. So, I mean, did you find that you wanted to work with somebody again, or you were just like, I just want that person to be able to bounce that idea off of? Like, what made you kind of jump into the team atmosphere?
I think it just kind of happened.
Right.
A couple people asked me to team up with them. I think a couple people asked her to team up, and we were both like, no, I don't think that's a good fit. And then it just kind of worked out.
Right.
We both have different assets that we bring to the table, so it kind of makes a lot of sense. And at the end of the day, it wasn't about like making our lives easier. It was more about, producing as much as we possibly can, making sure nothing falls through the cracks.
Right. Well, and when you guys both started, I was out of the St. Augustine office because this office didn't exist yet. So I just remember hearing you both early on the phone, and you're just like a run and gun, like, yo, you want to see this property? You want to go? Let's go. I'm trying to go to see this property. She's like, hi, but like very sweet, like typical phone, right? Like walking around.
Don't let it fool you.
Yeah. Don't let it fool you. All right. Well, before we get too much in the weeds, let's find out kind of like who you guys are, where you're from. So you're originally from St. Augustine, which is kind of funny because, no joke, I think you're one of 3 people that I've ever met of my time being here that's from St. Augustine. It's like very much like Tampa. Like the first question out of your mouth, like, oh, that's great. Where are you from? Because like almost no one's from here. But you left and now you're back. So give us a little bit of that history.
So originally from St. Augustine, born and raised, and realized how small of a town it was and wanted to kind of get out. Have a large family as well here. So just kind of made sense to go off to college. So I chose San Francisco and lived there for about 12 years. Yes. It was quite a while. And every year I kind of was like, I'm going to move home. Knew this is where I kind of wanted to come back to eventually. And COVID kind of made that happen, and it made it a very big realization of like where I wanted to be. And that was in St. Augustine, and jumped right into real estate once I got here.
Right. Were you licensed prior to coming here, or you moved here, then you were like, I'm going to get licensed?
Yeah, I moved back and got licensed pretty much right away within moving, and then kind of hit the ground running from there. But worked in restaurants for most of my adult life and managed great restaurants in San Francisco. So that's kind of where the sales background came from.
Okay. And service industry. I mean, we say all the time that real estate is a service industry because you are definitely serving your consumer. And you too have a service industry background because you've recently rolled out the red carpet and helped me out a little bit in a tight pickle that I was in. But let's catch up and find out kind of where you were from first.
First of all, I don't mind helping you out anytime.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Todd's the greatest. I swear. I moved. I grew up in Michigan, but I moved around a little bit. I lived in Seattle right out of the gate, right out of high school, for a few years. I ended up in New York City for about 10 years.
Love that.
And really just got tired of like cold winters. The town I grew up in, Michigan's a little small tourist beach town. Reminds me a lot of St. Augustine, except for not 450 years old.
Right. Or like,
and also like
ocean.
during June, July, and August only. But
right.
Those are my favorite months. So that's how I ended up here and love it.
Love it.
Yeah. Service industry as well. Managed restaurants.
Right.
Did everything in restaurants, from starting as a dishwasher when I was 15 to, chef or kitchen manager to,
right.
general manager, whatever. I've done it all in restaurants and looking forward to not doing it again.
It sounds like the natural progression of someone who works in the service industry is to go from dishwasher, server, manager, real estate agent.
It's pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, if they're thinking about the next step, that would be.
It's going to be right.
That would be it.
That's where the pay is going to flip on its head, and it's going to be you wind up working from whatever hour someone tells you to working 24/7, and.
Well, I think even if I'm 24/7 now, the hourly is still much better.
Yeah,
So.
The hourly is a lot better.
Yeah.
So let's talk about. So this is one of the things that I really love is walk into a pizza shop, you see $1 on the wall, you're like, okay, that's obviously the first dollar. From I'm getting licensed to the first $1 on the wall, how long was that for you?
I think it was just under a month, if I'm not mistaken. I think I wrote my first contract probably within the first 2 weeks, and then I got a cash deal after one phone call. And we put an offer in and got it accepted. I think we closed in 9 days.
Wow.
So it was pretty quick.
Yeah, because I remember. So we have obviously like a work thread, and I just remember seeing your name just like one after the other. I'm like, didn't you just get here?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
my second offer was like a $1.9 million house. So that was
Classic.
it was
just
from
yeah.
one end to the other. I was thinking it was the first one was like 140,000, and then it was 1.9. So yeah, it was
Right.
a wild start.
Yeah, well, and that's like every single real estate agent that starts in real estate ever, right? They join a brokerage, they write something up 9 days in, and then the second deal is 1.9 million. I mean, that's tale as old as time. So that's you can pretty much find that anywhere.
Still waiting on that 1.9.
Yeah, still waiting. Well, is that why you teamed up? You're like, all right, something's happening over there.
Like, luxury Lauren
Yeah.
needs to team up with this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when do you think from start to first dollar? on the
I
wall?
was a late bloomer. It took me a while.
Yeah?
It was a struggle.
But
I put my
that's-
head down. I grinded.
But that's
I
perfect because
started-
you're juxtaposing. She had crazy early success. You didn't. But here you both are in the same lane now.
Well,
right?
see, because I just saw people around me just executing contracts, closing houses all the time. And I knew it was going to happen. It
Mhm.
was just a matter of time. But
Right.
I think I started early May 2020, and I didn't close my first house till, I think, July 27th.
Well, and I think too, you started kind of at the peak of COVID when things were kind of slower.
Things were
maybe?
weird.
Yeah, things
They
were
weren't
weird.
slower. They were just real weird.
Yeah, they were
Like-
definitely strange because it was like all this uncertainty. I don't know what's going to
We were
happen in
like-
the housing market, and then all of a sudden it just went bananas because I
Eh.
like, yeah, I don't have to live here anymore. I'm coming to Florida.
Every house we're showing, we're signing like COVID waivers,
Yeah,
masks, gloves, sanitizer everywhere,
yeah,
boots.
yeah.
It
and then
was
and then
the
you-
real deal. But people were still selling their houses, and people were still buying houses. So
Right. Yeah, that was. It's funny you say that. It was definitely. I mean, COVID itself is just weird, but it was a weird time here because then it turned into this sight unseen. Do we have video tours? We were doing video tours. It was strange, and then yeah, I mean, you guys were just two people that bought in essentially, just fully just bought in. We're just like, hey, like if you just keep going, keep making the phone ring, keep showing
Well,
homes, it's gonna happen.
that's what's great about the team is the DJ&Lindsey team. They're just gonna adapt. They're gonna pivot.
Right.
They're basically just looking into the future always. I remember what was it like a month or two ago? I'm like, oh, cool. We're getting into the fourth quarter. DJ&Lindsey are like, we just had a meeting about 2020, and we have all these plans. And I'm like,
Right.
I'm still here.
Yeah, right.
I'm
Yeah, right. I'm still trying to
trying
get
to
my
finish out the year
Yeah.
strong.
Exactly. And no, that's one thing that they are obviously huge with is always planning ahead, trying to predict.
Mhm.
Because if you just try and react, it's like, at what point are you just always playing catch up versus you're on the
Yeah.
offensive of like, all right, well, what if we did this and tried to make this happen, which I think kind of happened with COVID, with partnerships that we have here. They work hard to create opportunities for the both of you. And I think the both of you, just like with a straw, just are just drinking the Kool-Aid of like, okay, this is what we're doing now. Great. Boom. Right down the hatch. How has your day changed going from Scott and Lauren to now scoring? Right? How has the day-to-day changed? We obviously here we have things called shifts. Do you guys both have shift? Do you guys have one shift that you guys like, hey, are you going to be on shift? Are you going to do this? Hey, you showing Joe and Linda? Are you showing Bob
really
and Karen?
Nothing has changed as far as we each still take our own shifts.
Okay, cool.
And we kind of keep a balance of keeping, things separate. So if I speak to a certain customer, I'm kind of working that person, but obviously Scott jumps in and we can kind of maneuver as need be. If he's available for a showing because I'm doing something else or vice versa, it's actually just easier to be more flexible and have kind of more time in a day, but we definitely utilize that time.
Mhm.
It's definitely nice to be able to have that flexibility. So if I'm, busy or have something that I need to do outside, that he's there and vice versa.
Right.
Do you find that you have more opportunity or more, I don't want to say time in the day, but like, so here we have a situation where hey, I can't get to this property, or I can't show this, or appointment set, whatever. You guys just kind of like bounce between the two of you before
Right.
you turn it loose.
I wouldn't say it's not like it's more opportunity, because I think the opportunity was there when we were solo,
Mhm.
but pairing up as a team, we're able to, capitalize on that opportunity
Right.
more, because there's two of us. We can be in two places at once.
Right.
So
Do you
it's-
guys use that to your advantage, or do you guys also try to, like, if you take a listing appointment, or you're, I don't know, working like a $2 million buyer, do you guys feel you showing up will help, or you're kind of like, well, why are both these people
Well,
here?
Luxury Lauren handles the $2 million buyers.
Love that.
But as far as listings, yeah, we usually go to listing appointments together, because we are a team. We're both going to be working together to
Right.
get their household. And
You want them
get
to know
as
that,
much money
yeah,
as
the
possible,
phone
so-
rings, someone's picking it up. If you
Always,
have anything.
yeah.
Well, it's all about making connections too in this, market and this industry is, people who might really like me might not always love Scott and vice versa. So it's nice to be able to have both of us, especially at listing appointments, because we can kind of, whether it's a husband and a wife or a family, there's different people we can connect with. And I think the connection's more important than what we can bring as far as, obviously our team offers so much, and being able to sell for more, and the marketing we put behind it, and, what we've shown and track record that we have, but having both of our personalities there, I think actually brings a lot to the table.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about that, is that when you walk into these homes, you don't know who the person is there. Like, okay, they have this house, they have all these upgrades, but if they don't gravitate towards one of you, right? If it's just
Right.
you walking in there, it's like, it's either happening here or it's not. And either you're going to work hard to sell this person and yes them to death, or you're just like, you're just going to be that tough rock. But since you have kind of like this two-sided argument where you're like, okay, like I'm really feeling Lauren's energy,
Right.
you kind of can recognize that and just be like, yeah, we're here to help. Yeah, we're here to help. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And just like let her kind of run away.
Well, and
with it.
somebody can kind of do the chit chatting, and somebody can kind of stick to the business. And this is what we do. This is our sales. These are the comps.
Mhm.
This is what you're going to walk away with. And I think that's really important to get the job done, but also to make that connection.
Right.
Yeah, I get a little comfortable. I just start hanging out with them instead of
Yeah.
They're like, okay, well, we are here to go over your house.
Well, and
Yes.
that's what you were
right.
mentioning
But-
earlier, is we had different assets, and that was like a main part of us joining up as teams, as a team, because we'd bring different elements to the table.
Mm.
Right.
I have more of the organization, and I like to
super
the
organized.
spreadsheets
Yeah, you're-
and whatnot.
Yeah.
He has more of the gift of gab, and that's really important.
Right.
Well, at the same time, too, we're not really going to these listing appointments trying to sell them on us. We're just going there to meet them, get in front of them, and realistically just give them all the information about our company, because the company sells itself. The things we do are far beyond what anyone else is doing as far
Right.
as marketing their home, putting their home in front of more people. And we just want to get them that information so they're aware of, everything that's going on. It really,
That's
we're just spreading the word. That's it.
right. Well, it's funny you say that, because yeah, we are very much, without tooting our own horn, like the pioneers in this space, right? If we're doing something, I guarantee you 2-3 months later, somebody's doing it.
Yeah, that's DJ&Lindsey pivoting
Right.
with
exactly.
the market, planning far into the future. They're
Right. I
They're
mean,
basically mind readers.
We just started talking about open house, because we don't even do open houses really that much. We just started talking about, hey, let's do open houses and what our goals would be for an open house, not the same way that another realtor from another team's goals would be with an open house, right? We'd be having an open house not to sell the house, because we are going to do it in a completely different way, because it's proven. We already know how it's going to work. It's like, what can we get out of an open house that's going to increase your business footprint? Like, how can you guys meet more people without having to come up with this profound idea of like, well, what if I dressed like a cape and ran through the streets of St. Augustine and handed out, like, right? Like, you don't have to do that, right? Like Ryan Serhant's like dressing up, throwing parties inside these like $20 million, $30 million homes. We don't have that, right? Where like, hey, I'm going to do this, and it's just going to be this like viral thing, because the home is what someone's like, what you're going to buy, right? Like it's a realistic purchase for a family, whatever somebody's situation is. I mean, there's a very select few people that are going to buy a penthouse in Manhattan. So when you have that, you got to do twice as weird of stuff that we're doing. in order to get there.
I don't know if I necessarily want to buy a penthouse from a guy running down the street wearing a cape.
Yeah, but you'd see it.
Yeah.
You'd
I'd
see
be
it.
aware.
You'd
I'd be
remember
aware of
it.
it.
Yeah, exactly. You'd remember
that's
it. I mean,
true.
that's one of the things we talk about is the impression to make on people. So we actually have this ALS walk happening in St. Augustine, and DJ&Lindsey are one of the premier sponsors of it. But what the goal here is to have our agents come here, participate in a great cause, but also put your own face with the people of St. Augustine and like shake hands, wave, hey, I'm Lauren, hey, I'm Scott, I'm, blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's great. Like, you love it here. Oh my gosh, I've been here 12 years. That's so nice, blah, blah. And just create this warm relationship so that when it happens to be a situation where they need to sell their home or they're just looking at whatever the case is, they're going to remember that. And it's crazy that people are like, oh, they're not going to remember that. I'm like, they'll remember that.
Yeah, it's an emotional connection.
Yeah, they will remember that because they're going to see our branding. We're doing all this stuff like DJ&Lindsey team, DJ&Lindsey team, DJ&Lindsey team. And here we have the Scott and Lauren team underneath that umbrella, the same way people have the whatever team under Keller Williams or the whatever team under
Right.
Berkshire Hathaway, Coldwell Banker, right? You guys are building a team under a team and having great success.
The only difference is we can call DJ&Lindsey 7 days a week and get them on the phone and say,
Right.
hey, can I run this idea by you? And I don't think they can call Keller or Williams
Or yeah.
and say, hey, Mr. Watson,
Right.
I got an idea. What do you think about this?
Right.
They're not.
No, and that's a huge added bonus that we have. I mean,
Yeah.
you literally can call anyone who's on the next tier of the ladder and say, hey, this is an idea. Have you run into this before? Can you give me guidance on this? And I mean, we say it all the time. I've never had an idea here that has fallen on deaf ears.
Yeah.
No.
Like, someone's going to listen to it and then either talk me off the ledge and be like, that's kind of bananas, dude. Like,
How often is that happen?
It's honestly never.
They're like,
yeah.
that's bananas. Let's give it a shot.
I'll tell you this. It happened one time. It happened to half a time. Lindsey and I were trying to convince DJ that we should have our own miniature hot air balloon.
Why do we not do that?
Well, we're not.
And why miniature?
We're not well because it's hot air balloon's pretty intense, and then so it shifted from hot air balloon to maybe it's just a blimp, maybe it's just a large PVC helium balloon. Like we're just trying to figure it out.
Like something floating
So we
in the
tailgate
air.
the Jags games, right?
Yeah.
And we have this great setup. You've seen it,
Yep, it's amazing.
and everybody has flags. I'm like, well, flags are cool, right? Flags are cool, but what if we had like a hot air balloon that we just kind of and it was just like this sell your home for more balloon that just
What about the
floated.
plane with the
Like the tail, the
Yeah,
banner behind it. Well,
at the
right,
beach?
well, people have done
Todd's
that.
face on it?
Todd
Sell your home
wants
for
the
more.
original.
right, yeah, exactly. Could you imagine? But so we thought about that. Stu and I, we talked about it. Those planes are like super dangerous. They're like one step above just stalling out and crashing because of how much weight they're carrying, and the plane itself is
Okay, I didn't realize they're risking their lives for those.
well, a top wing plane is it's basically like an old Peugeot that they just put wings on or something. They're just like, all right, like go, like it's fine, it'll probably fly, right? So it's like it's not like the top of the line King Air. So yeah, they're like flying around, and it's like we're not gonna buy one, we're not gonna hire a pilot,
Right.
and at the same time it's conditional. I'm like, who looks up and is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna sell my house. So we're like trying to do stuff that's like, wow, that's really funny. Like that's real. Did anybody see the hot air balloon or anybody see the miniature blimp that was circling around the Jags games? Like, right? And you don't need flight clearance because it's just tethered.
So that one's still in the works. It didn't completely get shot down.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's
just morphing.
What's hard is that, okay, I can have any idea, but then I have to execute on it. So it's like, do I know any hot air balloon construction companies
Anybody out
or
there?
vendors? Yeah, if
Hot
you're
air
out there
balloon.
and you
This
are
guy.
in the business of hot air balloon manufacturing, yeah, marketing at Move to 904. That'd be great if you could just shoot an email right there. That would be tremendous because, yeah, sometimes our dreams are not unrealistic. They're just a little crazy. And then when you add DJ&Lindsey, or how about two characters like you're just like, it's just hot air, right? You're just inflating my head so big that I'm like, I got to have an even better idea than a hot air balloon or a blimp.
I think you have great ideas. Hey, quick question, Todd.
Oh, man.
Because you're always asking, tell us a little bit about us. Where are you from? What do you do? What about you, Todd? This is, we're on your show, the Toddcast. Where are you from? How'd you get started? I remember when I started, you were like the creative team, and now
Yeah,
you're
that was pretty much it.
running a creative team.
Yeah. It's pretty intense. I'm just a kid from New Jersey that played college baseball, bounced around, found places to fit in, and then I fell in love with marketing. I mean, people always tell me, you're like, oh, you're so good at sales. I'm like, I don't have any reason to convince somebody they want something if they don't want it. So now I do it from a different angle to where I'm like subliminally telling them that they want it, and if they don't, I don't feel like that weird pressure of like you want it, like this is the home you want, right? So I just I don't know, I'm obsessed with it. DJ&Lindsey, like I said, have just basically given me steroids at this point. They're just like,
so you came down from Jersey to play college ball, or
yeah, I started at the University of Tampa, kicked from there to Miami. I tore my ACL, took 2 years off, and I was just like working at a liquor store. I'm like, yeah, this is not it.
Ambitious.
Yeah, I'm like, this is not it. I'm like 22 years old, I think, at the time, and my buddy gets sort of back from college without getting too much into it. He just arrived back home from college. And I was doing something in the back of my house, and he was just like talking to my mom. He's like, so tell me about Flagler in St. Augustine. She's like, oh my gosh, Tommy went there. It's amazing. We love it. Blah, blah, blah.
That's your
and,
mom? Or?
Yeah, that's my
okay.
mom. That's my buddy. No, that was my mom. And he's like, cool, cool, cool. And then I walked out, and he was like, yo, what if we just went to Flagler? And I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And within like 2 weeks, we like both were applied in, and I walked on their team. They didn't have he ran track at a D1 school. So he would have had to sit out, but he was just like, yeah. So he just like did his own thing. And he just graduated from law school, and I'm here. So it was probably a good investment for us to come down here because we both got our acts together.
Like, liquor store.
Yeah, right. It was like liquor store. And it was funny too, because I originally wanted to be a mechanical engineer, and I'm awful with numbers, like terrible with numbers, like bad.
Got it.
So I'm in charge of all the orders that come in. They're like, all right, Todd, like make sure that what we paid, we're charging enough and we're in the green. I'm like, not the person for this job, but okay. So that's what I was doing. And then I was like, yeah, I'm not good for this. So I pivoted to marketing and the creative side where numbers don't matter, but you still get to build stuff. Numbers matter in the sense of like data and analytics, but like I have Reagan and Kat for that. People that say, Todd, this was not a good idea. I'm like, okay. Don't tell anybody that.
Don't tell anybody.
Don't tell anybody that. But yeah, no, I can't speak highly enough of DJ&Lindsey. I just spoke with somebody yesterday about just like how wrong most people are when they build this impression of like what we are from the outside looking in. I mean, you see the billboards around, the business that we do, the yard signs, like all these things, and then you come in and you meet people like yourselves, DJ, Lindsey, even other people from the STA office, South Florida office. You're like, these are just like totally normal people. They're not like chip on their shoulder, like I'm better than anybody else. It's just like, how can we help? Because you're helping yourselves too, and when you do that and you do work like that, it's like it's just rewarding. So you find yourself like,
we're normal.
Are you normal?
DJ&Lindsey are also very normal. I feel like, yeah, you're right. But sometimes I feel like I felt myself defending the brand and them and, whatever I needed to do. But now I'm like, you know what? You'll figure it out. And most people have, once they work with us, they really know that we're genuine and we work hard and we have everything in line. I mean,
definitely
great.
Customer service driven.
Yeah. Here's a good question that I think you both will I'd like to hear your answer. So you're managing a restaurant, okay? Problem comes up. Who solves the problem? Someone says, hey, this. They're coming to you, right?
I think we're both could solve the problem. I think it's whoever.
No, I'm saying you're solving the problem. You're the manager of the restaurant. You're solving the problem. Okay? What happens if there's a problem here with your deal, right? You have someone to run to, right? It's not just like okay, what do I do with this?
I think that's also good that we have each other as a partner because we can first and foremost talk to each other about it and try to formulate a good problem solving, technique. But also then from there we have leadership who is there, Brittany, who's our active broker, and then Brett, who's, there for leadership, as well as many other people that we can go to about anything. But also we have a transaction coordinator who's a licensed agent who's dealt with many of issues. So they're also there to communicate with. So it's not just one person or figuring it out on your own. You have a whole team of people. I mean, there's all their agents to talk to. I mean, if it's a minor problem, but major problems, we have, a lot of people to go to. We can also call DJ&Lindsey, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So that's part of our job, is we're just problem solvers, but we're just going to bounce that idea off of each other. If it's a significant issue,
Right.
Once we come up with a solution, we're going to put that in a group text, maybe with 3 other mentors that have been through thousands of transactions, and say, hey, this is where we're at. This is what's going on.
And this is how we would solve it.
This is how we would solve it. What would you think? And they may say, yeah, that's a great idea, but I would also do this and this and this, or, make sure these are in place, or whatever the case may be. But we're working with mentors and a team that has thousands of transactions under their own personal belt. So we're going to use that. Yeah,
it's kind of a disservice to just be like, give me the answer, because, we're trying to learn and grow and get
For
better
sure.
and know how to problem solve in the future. But I mean, again, there's always pivoting. There's always things we can do differently depending on the situation and, what's maybe changed in the market. But obviously, if it's anything legal or something that's a larger issue, we want to go straight to somebody who really can give us the best advice. So.
Right. All right. So as we close out here, I want to hear, let's get into some numbers. I'm not a numbers guy as far as like making sense of it, but let's close out with some quality numbers. So where are we at the end of, let's call it the end of Q3. Obviously we're in Q4 now, but what are we looking for at the end of Q3? And then what are we hoping for Q4?
So right now, currently together for the year of 2021, we have 71 homes closed. We have 11 or 12.
72, but
okay,
carry
sorry.
on.
I think we have 12 or 11 pending. I'm not sure. We have 7 listings either live, under contract, or coming soon. Which I think actually we just signed an 8th one today. And yeah. I think
how do you think the year will round out then? So we got,
I think the goal and what, we would really love to see, and I think it would be a really great achievement, is, getting 100 closed. I think if it's not 100 closed, if we can have 100 closed and pending, that would be amazing.
That'd be
I'm more
rock
of
star
a-
status.
I like to break it down to like a month to month, because I just used to living paycheck to paycheck before
Right.
I came to work here. So it was like, I need to make sure I have my bills in order and what's going on. So really, it's like, as long as the consistency here is more important than anything else. With any other team, I'm sure it's like, okay, I sold 2 houses, and then a couple months later, you're like, okay, cool, I sold another house. I need to have a certain amount pending each month, which that seems to be increasing since we partnered up. And I'm setting goals for 2022.
Yeah.
now.
I know it's hard to remember what's next.
Yeah.
Well, I think too, we talk a lot about units, and that's always it's a great way to look at it. But volume's also really important. That's going to really determine our paychecks, each time we close on a house. So that's really important to us as well, the numbers and showing that. So I think each month we've kind of grown, whether it could be less or more units, but as far as the dollar sign, we've seen an increase since being partners. So that's really important.
That's awesome. I mean, the two of you guys are absolutely insane. It's funny to see where you started, I was lucky enough to see both of you start almost at the same time, and how you kind of like your pathways worked its way together for obviously the better, because you guys were great single agents, successful. Now, 71 is stupid.
Like
to close 100 at the end of the year would be wild. So we appreciate you guys coming on. I really love talking to you guys. You're awesome.
Me too. Thank you.
Yeah, man. All right, we'll see you guys.
Thank you.